The holiday season is in full swing and stores are filled with shoppers. The scenes that some of the malls and stores show would say that we are back to regular holidays as previous years. Deals are just as good and inventory for stores are much larger than last year. However, a closer look would show that there is a big difference between this year and last. Though there are great deals and great discounts on certain items, it is believed that you are getting items for a better deal. However, compared to last year's prices, most of the deals are more expensive due to inflation. With interest rates on the rise, people cannot afford to spend as much as last year, with companies and economists already predicting revenue for most businesses to be lower this year. To show the difference, we will look first at the holiday season from last year, then look at what is different about this year. During the 2021 holiday season, the Omicron strain had taken over every other COVID strain. It was much more contagious than any other strain, and for that, businesses were restoring mask mandates if not closing down. Countries were now delaying the reopening of their borders as hospitalization began to spike, with lines at clinics wrapping the corners for people to get tested. Even with the problems countries faced with the new virus, many had begun printing money last year due to the first wave of the virus. Many received stimulus checks from the government to combat a failing economy. On top of that, a historic $794 billion of unemployment benefits was given out. With many still not working or getting paid for producing nothing, they had more money to save, spend, or invest. Due to this, people's savings went up. They were able to afford things that they otherwise couldn't. And many made money in the stock market that continued to rise from millions getting in on that newfound money. Now, since there was more money in circulation for people to spend without the same amount of production or goods being produced due to many still not having a job, prices for items began to go up first in the stock market and then in the stores. The inflation data for October and November around Christmas was 6.2 and 6.7%. Yes, that's already pretty high, but it just began to spike in the months before. At the beginning of 2021, inflation was at 1.4%. The Federal Reserve has an inflation target of 2%, which means we were below that at the beginning of the year. When Christmas came around, the new inflation was not felt as much as it is now, since shoppers already had extra money and things had been relatively cheap half the year. Another factor was interest rates. The Federal Reserve has stopped raising interest rates around 2.5 in 2019 due to a quick drop in the stock market in late 2018. The drops were small at 2.5%. Then they stopped for a while around 1.5 as the markets crept back up, until February and March of 2020 when COVID hit and everything shut down and the market crashed. Within 2 months, rates were down to 0.25%, where it stayed in 2020 and all of 2021 until early 2022. With interest rates that low for all 2021, people were able to borrow more money, with low interest rates having to be paid on what they borrowed or swiped on their credit card. With access to more money all year, the holiday season here, and Omicron spreading fast, many people were scared, but many were still going shopping. COVID had brought global trade to a halt, and there wasn't near enough supplies for the demand that the holiday season gave. So were there deals? Yes. However, they weren't close to what they were the years prior because companies didn't have to lower prices for people to buy it. If someone didn't buy it, another person would, because that person had the money to do so. This year, we got closer to being back to where we were before COVID. Mask mandates are gone and traveling has come back. Most have gone back to their regular life, with few still wearing masks. In 2022, though, inflation has not only stayed above 7, but it even touched 9 in June and has been above 8 for most of the year. The October data showed it finally dropped below 8% at 7.7% for the first time in months. However, that was only for data for all items. Other major categories like food and energy had dropped slightly but still came in at 10.9 and 17.6% respectively. This is something that many people have noticed when shopping or paying bills. With inflation remaining high all year long, the Federal Reserve began raising interest rates and in turn bringing down the market, just like in 2018, with inflation being the difference. In February, the rates sat at 0.25 and now are around 3.75. Borrowing has become much more expensive and many are stuck where they can't pay it back or are struggling to do so. No one is receiving checks anymore or saving as much. The average consumer now has little to no savings left from average day prices increasing all year long and eating away at the money they have. Now, this year was the opposite for suppliers. With stores not wanting a repeat, they stocked their inventory from high demand last year, not realizing the effect that high inflation and high interest rates would have. Holiday sales started early, and discounts are great, but due to inflation, what looks like a great deal is nothing what it was last year. Even a 40 to 50% sale for the same item last year will cost you more, including the extra money you are spending at the grocery store. With this, almost half of shoppers have decided to spend less or give less gifts, with others deciding only to include gifts to immediate family members. Some have even said they would take gas gift cards, which right now sounds like the best gift of all. Then there's some that have said they don't care and will put it all on their credit cards. And with credit rate at an all-time high of 19%, that doesn't sound like a great idea. Being broke is one thing, but being in debt at a time like this is dangerous. With the average household spending an average of over $1,400 on holiday gifts, that debt is nothing you want in an economy we are in right now. The holiday season is something that many of us look forward to every year, not just for the gifts, but to spend time with family and enjoy each other's company. That is what's most important. Gifts is and will always be a big part of it. However, it is not the most important thing. You will have more fun in the company of loved ones than what any present will give you. If you don't have the money, buy what you can or buy it later. If you decide to use credit, don't overspend. Just like how when we started printing money, we didn't know how bad it would affect us, we don't know how the sudden rise in interest rates will affect us. Everyone is predicting a recession in 2023, and no one knows what it will look like, so debt is something that no one needs right now. A slight dip in inflation does not mean it's over just yet. Though many are cutting back with buying, many are not. The economy and the market just doesn't go up and down. It moves in waves that none of us are familiar with.